Hey guys, Troy Francis here. So what you need to understand is that men and women have competing sexual strategies, okay? That is, men and women have strategies that are in conflict out there in the dating and mating and sexual marketplace. That's just how it is. Shout out here to Rollo Samasi, who first wrote about this. Well, he probably wrote about it many years ago, but in 2016, he wrote a blog post about this, and he said, the cardinal rule of sexual strategies: for one gender's sexual strategy to succeed, the other gender must compromise or abandon their own. And this is a very, very key concept, but it's really, really important to understand whether you're a woman or a man in today's dating marketplace. Because look, here's the deal. Ultimately, what do women want? Well, women want a couple of things, okay? Because women have themselves a dual mating strategy, just to complicate things a little bit further. But ultimately, really, what women want to do is they want to find a quote-unquote alpha and consolidate on him, tie him down, lock him down, and get into something monogamous with him so that she can procreate with him, have his kids, and basically enjoy his protection and his provisioning. That's the theory anyway. Now, of course, not everyone wants to have kids. That's fine. But that's the kind of the biological underpinning of this. The woman is looking to lock down. The woman's looking to consolidate. Guys, on the other hand, have, as I say, the opposite desire or the opposite drive. Guys are programmed to be prolific, right? To spread their seed, to date widely. As we said, those two things are in direct opposition to one another. So what do we do to solve that conundrum? Well, it's kind of tricky, isn't it? And again, as Mr. Tomasi of The Rational Male says, for one gender's strategy to succeed, the other gender must compromise or abandon their own. So the other gender's strategy has to fail. What does that look like in practice? Well, often what it looks like is a couple will move in together and then get married, okay? Now, that sounds like a wonderful love story. It sounds like wonderful success, and listen, maybe it is. Congratulations to those people who are engaging in nuptials right now or preparing to. But the reality is that the man's real actual drive is to procreate or to spread his seed as widely as possible. So when he enters into that commitment, when he becomes domesticated, when he signs on the dotted line and he is monogamously with just that one woman, then that is in opposition to what he's actually driven to do biologically. On the other hand, if a woman is going out with a dude and they've been together for 10 years and she's pushing for marriage, she's pushing for commitment, and he says, no, to hell with you, I'm going to go off and have sex with this woman over here because I enjoy my freedom too much, then her sexual strategy has failed or been defeated in preference for his. So this is how it goes. All right, it's a zero-sum game. Now, that's not to say that that woman in the last example can't go and find somebody else and marry him instead, or the guy in the first example can't decide to leave his wife, or could have just decided not to get married and gone out and had lots of different partners instead. Obviously, everyone is autonomous. Everyone can make their own decisions. But overall, this is how it is. All right, for one strategy to go through, the other has to be halted in its tracks, okay? So you've got to kind of think about, when you're out there on the dating scene, on the dating circuit, you've got to kind of think about, well, what do I actually want from this? You know, what is my end game? And it's very easy to get sidelined and sidetracked by things like societal convention and what your friends are doing and what you think people are going to think about you, and so on and so forth. So a great example of this for guys is that guys will often end up going down the path of living together with a woman and then getting engaged and then getting married to her. Maybe they want that, but how does wanting something come about? Well, it partly comes about as a product of the environment in which we're in, okay? And if you're in an environment where you're surrounded by friends who are doing that and who are encouraging you to do the same thing, then obviously you're going to be more compelled to go and get married, to do that. Maybe, just for argument, thought experiment, just for wild argument's sake, maybe actually really deep down what that guy kind of fancied doing was traveling to Australia for 2 years and sitting on a beach and having a great time, or going to Thailand or traveling around Latin America or something. Maybe that would have been better for him and his life and his limited experience on that planet than checking up with that woman and moving to Croydon together and going to IKEA every Saturday. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, look, each to their own. I'm just saying, maybe that would have been more aligned actually with the way that he wanted to experience the world deep down. For a woman, it's the opposite. Maybe she is seeing a very high value man who is in show business, for example, or sports, and he has a degree of fame and a degree of financial access and net worth, and he's a prominent figure. Maybe she knows on some level that he is also sleeping with other women, and he is not actually committed to her, and he doesn't want to engage in any sort of more meaningful relationship with her. She is a side piece, okay? And maybe she's going along with that because she's feeling that strong pull of her biological desire. But it is going against what really deep down perhaps she wants, which is to find somebody who is going to be there, be that partner, and be that person who's going to provide that provisioning and is going to provide her with offspring and all the rest of it. Now, in her head, she might be thinking, yeah, but I can change this guy, I'll work on him in time. He's gonna, he's not the settling down type now, but I'll change all of that. I'll make him into the marrying kind of dude. I'll just work my magic on him. She's hoping to change him, which is obviously always a mistake. So people can get caught up in their illusions with this stuff for a period of time. But again, her sexual strategy in that instance, in that example, has been compromised because of his. Okay, so his was one out. So again, when you go out there, you've got to think, well, what do I actually really want? And it's very, very hard, because as a guy, it might be that the truth is, really, actually, you kind of fancy the idea of variety. You kind of fancy the idea of the thrill of the chase and meeting new people and having these wonderful experiences and just having this rich and kind of varied life. But society, and to some extent your emotions as well, and it's complicated further by the fact that we also all have this desire to pair bond. There is this quite powerful pair bonding instinct within all of us as well, which kind of then conflicts with the other thing. But it might be, if you really pared it down, you would think, well, actually, I quite like the idea of that variety. I quite like the idea of being free and being able to go out there and just have adventures and have an amazing time. And then society and also your pair bonding thing kind of pushes you in a direction, and then suddenly it's 15 years down the line and you're married and you're like, oh God, what happened? Why did I do, things could have been so different. That's why it's very important. And again, for a woman, to reverse it, you could end up just being the side piece and you never get picked for marriage, and then you end up on the shelf and you're like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I not meet the right guy at the right time? So it's very important, really, as early as possible, when you're going out into the dating marketplace, to try and figure out, what do I actually want here? What's my actual outcome here? Is it to just be a side piece and get passed around and not really taken very seriously? Is it just to be somebody who's kind of used up and goes through the marriage and divorce machine? Or do I actually want something different for myself? And then you need to ensure that your actions are aligned with that end game, with that end result, and don't get sucked into the mistake that so many people make of pursuing a strategy that ultimately is wrong for you, or ultimately is not going to bring you the kind of happiness and the kind of life that you want. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Food for thought. Drop me a comment beneath. Please do subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, give me a like, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.